Good evening. How are we all? I hope we're here. I hope we're well. And I hope we're ready for some inspiration. I am. I'm here. Let me know if you're with me. It'd be lovely to have your company again. I'll be amazed if I've managed to connect without any problems. It's always the way. So here we are, another Thursday night natter. Hi Giovanna, hi Alison. So pleased you're here with me. At least I won't be talking to myself, which is what I usually do most of the time. Hi Kat, hi Joyce. Great to see you here. Excuse me. Hello Kim, how are you? Hope you're okay. So yes, here we are, Thursday night natter again. Don't they come round quickly? Oh hi Emma. Hope you're all right, lovely. Yeah, they come round ever so quickly. I don't know where the days are going. This year has whizzed. Hello Sue. Hope you're okay. Hope you're behaving yourself. I met Sue last weekend when I went to the Art of Craft. We had a fabulous day, didn't we, Sue? It was wonderful, and it was so lovely to meet all the lovely, enthusiastic customers, and we spent a lovely day together doing creative stuff. And Jane, who runs the Art of Craft, is absolutely gorgeous lady. Made me feel so welcome. It was just lovely. Hi, Hayley. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Rosie. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a fabulous time down there. It's a long way from me, but I don't mind that. I'm fortunate that I've got a nice car and I love driving. Um, so it doesn't bother me pootling off it here, there, and everywhere. And I think Jamie's taking full advantage of that. So he's sending me off again. I'll tell you more about that later. So tonight we're having a look at the mechanical collection. We keep referring to it as the cogs collection because it is basically based around cogs. Hi Catherine, hello May. But it's all about mechanical things. So it's not just cogs. So if you're thinking, oh, I don't do, all that steampunky stuff, I absolutely adore steampunk. I love it. Um, Something you might not know about me. Hi Sandra. I absolutely love science fiction fantasy. So not so much like spaceships and like Star Trek and all, and The Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars and all that. I don't mind that, but I really like the fantasy side of it. So fantastical worlds and um, magic and wizards and fairies, especially wicked fairies. Hi Siobhan. I guess it's a bit of escapism from my normal life. But the steampunk comes into that genre quite a lot as well. So it's right up my alley. Hello Diane. Hi Deborah. So this really spoke to me, this collection, and this is actually the first time I've ever had my hands on it. So I was really thrilled when Jamie suggested it for tonight, and he sent me all the goodies. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Oh, Haley, good, they turned up. Fabulous. All right, let's have a look then at this wonderful collection. It came out last year, so it's one of the earlier of the collection. So it's always lovely to revisit these, or in my case, visit it for the first time. So it's really nice. I'm sure there's plenty of you that perhaps haven't seen it at all. I know Jamie mentioned it in a video. He's done a video on YouTube with it. He's done, as with all the collections. So you can catch up on that if you want to. Hi Pete, hope you're okay. Oh, you've not locked him in the cupboard, have you? Has he been naughty again? Hi Bethan. So let's have a look at these beautiful products then. I'm going to change my camera over and then we can have a look through this collection. So here we are. all things cogs, but not everything is cogs. We've got tools, we've got hot rods and bikes, and things to do with racing, and then we have got the steampunk collection as well. We've got backgrounds, we've got individuals, we've got stencils, or masks rather, and we do have a stencil. So there's absolutely loads in this collection, loads to look at, loads to talk about. So let's do just that. So I'm going to start with this little packet of cogs. So this is Cog Corners, and it comes with the X die, which means you can cut all 4 corners at the same time. The inner patterny bit is separate, so you don't need to have it as a separate corner. You can cut it into the card and leave it there. So if that was the corner of the card, you could just cut it in there and it would stay. You can also cut a plain backing to these, as we can see here in this example, and then you can cut the corner and put that on top of it so that it's got its own coloured background. So dies like this, Jamie did all his corner dies originally like this, and they give you so much versatility, they're absolutely fabulous. But also with this one you get an outside cutting edge so that you can cut a square panel. So that's what this is here, and I believe this is about 4 inches if I remember rightly. Yeah, well, just over 4 inches, 10.5 centimetres. So there's more to this story to come. So watch this space. So that is our lovely Cog Corners, and the RRP on that one is £12.99, which I think is fantastic value. You're getting 6 dies in this set. You've got your 4 individual corners, you've got your X, and you've got your outer edge, which gives you a panel as well. So £12.99 for the Cog Corners. So let's move on and have a look at the individual cogs next. Oh, excuse me. So this looks like a very small, unimportant little packet, doesn't it? But it's actually absolutely gorgeous. It gives you such a lot of individual cogs. So you have this inner panel, and it cuts all of them at the same time. And I love these sorts of dies because there are some really tiny ones on here, and if you've got these loose knocking about in your craft, you've no chance. They're gonna go missing, aren't they? So with these you can cut all of these beautiful cogs, and every one of them is different. Obviously where you cut those from will give you a really lovely panel that you can then use as a stencil, or you can put them back in a different colour, or after you've made them look metallic, or whatever it is you want to do. And you also get another square panel. Now this one is smaller than the first one I showed you. So this is going to give us a nesting die. This one is 3.5 inches. This one was just over 4. So you can see that these nest perfectly together. And this is a developing theme in this collection, which I think is just genius, really clever. Every one of the sets has an outer edge like this, and when you put them all together, you finish up with a set of 6 nesting dies. Brilliant. And you don't have to pay for a set of nesting dies, which is even better. So the cogs die set, this one here that we're looking at now, it retails at £9.99, and you're getting an awful lot there for your money. Years ago, when steampunk first sort of made an appearance in craft, I used to buy embellishments like this in metal, proper metal, and they cost an absolute fortune. They really did. So to have these and to be able to make them look metallic and do all the grungy stuff is fabulous. So that's the little mini cogs. And let's have a look at a little bit of inspiration while we're talking about these. So going back to the corners set, here we have a beautiful sample made by Wendy, and she's used the dashed lines from the Stencil Vault DL stencils. She's cut those 4 corners from Silver Mirror and then swiped a black StazOn over them. And then here we've got all those lovely little cogs individually cut from Mirror Card and swiped with a StazOn. How effective is that? And really quick and easy to do. So really fabulous. Then if we have a look at this one, this again is by Wendy, and she's used the corners quite differently here. She's used them as a sort of side embellishment, which I think is lovely. And she's used the postage stamp squares to create interest behind those as well. So a very, very different way of using corners, but I love it. I think it's great. So those are the corners. And then if we have a look at the little individual dies, I mean, these appear in lots of the samples, so you'll see these, but here's one that concentrates on those. And I believe this is Jamie, and I believe what he's done, he's got a piece of sticky double-sided adhesive. He's cut all those cogs, and then he's laid them all out, some of them going off the edge, and then filled it up with the silver gemstones glitter. And then what you do is trim off any that are hanging over, or you trim them first and then bring them back in on the other edges and fill up some little spaces and then do your glitter. So that's a fabulous one, and I think anybody'd be lovely pleased to get that. Absolutely gorgeous, and again relatively quick to do, because it cuts all your cogs in one. There's more than one set there. He's cut them twice, I think, and then, you know, used quite a lot. Snip a few edges off, fill up with glitter. Job's a good one. So those are the little cogs. I think you'll agree, really, really worth having in your stash. Right, so let's move on and have a look at the tools. DIY Essentials. These ones are going to retail at $14.99, but you get an awful lot in here. It says there are 2 dies, but this die obviously is going to cut loads and loads of different pieces. I think there may be up to sort of 20 elements that it cuts. We've got another of the lovely frames. This is another nesting die. This is the next size up. So we're stacking now, aren't we? Hi Catherine. Hi Yvonne. And this is fabulous for any man who, or woman, who loves a DIY. You've got all the tools you could possibly need, and the detail on these is just fantastic. If I hold it up, you can see how much debossing detail is going into these, and I absolutely love these screw heads. Again, I used to have some brads, if you remember brads, split pins, you might know them as, with heads like this, or you know, in proper metal. But again, they cost a bomb. And you couldn't reuse them as many times as you want, whereas with these you can cut just as many as you like. So I think it's absolutely brilliant. Oh, Catherine, that sounds exciting. Did you dress up? Did you have a fantastical costume? We need pictures. We do. That sounds amazing. I've never been to one, but I'd love to. So yeah, so this is the tools die set, and I'm sure you can already think about lots of people who that would appeal to. So let's have a little look at some inspiration for these. I've got lots of examples for this one. So here we've got a fabulous stepper card. This is done by Ian, and he's used a lot of silver mirror card on here, and then he's cut out his tools, he's given them handles, he's snipped bits and pieced them back. We've got the screw heads, the tape measure, and we've got a beautiful background here which is coming up shortly. But look how fantastic those screw heads look. They really are amazing. We've even got 50 meters debossed into that tape measure. So absolutely attention to detail, as we sort of expect, don't we? So that's the first one. And then look at this. This is gorgeous. We've got a sort of workman's apron, and we've got a pocket on it, 2 pockets on it actually. All the tools tucked in there. I can just see my granddad. He was a cobbler, my granddad, and he had a cobbler's shop not far from where we lived. And as a tiny tot, I can remember going in there and watching him at work. And he used to have an apron with all tools tucked in like this. Not these sorts of tools, but, well, some were. But it's just brought back a memory that's really sweet. And we've got this beautiful stencil in the background, and that's coming up shortly as well. And then we've got this one, which features just a couple of the tools. You don't have to use the whole set all the time, of course. The background's been embossed using the stencil and a rubber mat in the machine. And then we've got these individual cogs, which have very cleverly been placed to create a frame. And if you have a look at this panel, you'll see it's using one of the outer edges, but then a plain square to cut the inner edge. So these dies give you lovely options when it comes to mats, layers, frames, apertures, that sort of thing. And now I absolutely love this one, and this is Wendy, and she's created a toolbox. So it looks like wood, doesn't it? It's gorgeous. She's swiped an ink pad across some craft brown and created this lovely sort of working crate. And then we've got all the tools, a pile of nails. I love this paintbrush. It's even got like a ribbed edge. It's fabulous. And then she's used those cog corners, and this is what we mean when we say it cuts into the card if you don't use the outer edge. So it's left the pattern in the card, but the card is still intact as a full square. And some of the sentiments that you're going to be seeing coming up are obviously still available. That's from our library of sentiments. So always worth knowing about those. Now this is one of Jamie's, and I think what he's done here, he's got a sheet of double-sided adhesive. He's then stuck the tools to it, and then he's infilled with what feels like mica powder. So it's got a really interesting texture, and it's got a bit of pattern on it, but I am guessing, I'm not sure if that's exactly what he's done, but that's certainly what you could do. But it's got a lovely shimmer to it, and it's also got some little bits of sparkle in it as well. He might have just sprinkled a little bit of glitter onto that. And then bringing in the circle sentiment from the original Essentials collection. Now we have got some beautiful samples with these tools. I think we need to have a look at them. This one's gorgeous. This is a little dinky card, and 4 of the tools, very beautifully made with separate handles, and just a happy birthday across that. How gorgeous is that? I think that's really lovely. And I love this one. This is Ian. He's taken those paintbrushes and he's inked the end of the paintbrush and then swiped on the card with the same colour ink, and these are Jamie's metallic inks, I believe. So that's really clever. I love that. Very arty. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then we have another one from Ian, and this one's creating almost a wall. I could see this in somebody's shed with all the tools neatly pegged up on the board. It doesn't look like our garage at all, I can tell you. So we've got some shelves, and we've got some racks, and we've got things on hooks, and then the birthday wishes. And again, he's made a background that looks like wood. I think he's scored into the card and then inked over that to create the look of aged wooden planks. Isn't that gorgeous? So that's the tools set. And that's the DIY Essentials, and that one is going to retail for $14.99. Now you are going to have to chase your stockists if you fancy any of these. I don't need an eye keeping on me, Peter, thank you very much. You're the one that causes all the trouble, so don't start. I shall put you over my knee. So yes, you'll have to track them down at your stockist, see if they've got these. I'm pretty sure they will have, because they're just fabulous. I mean, they're going to suit anybody, these. And this is just amazing. We have 8 dies in this set. We've got another of our nesting dies coming in, another size up. We've got a bike, sort of hot rod and racing car, the flags, the champers, the cup and the gas. I love this vintage gas pump. That's absolutely fabulous. And that's really cool in steampunk things as well. So some of the sets are obviously going to cross between themselves. So let's have a look at these. They're a decent size, these as well, really beautiful. And the detail on them is absolutely gorgeous. So let's have a look at what these look like when you've cut them out. Here's the next nesting die. You can see we're getting bigger now. We've got those 3 fabulous machines, and you can see all that fabulous deboss in well, all of them, the vehicle. And then we've got the bottle of champagne and the trophy, the flags, and that lovely gas pump. And these are a decent size. I'd say that's probably about 2.5, getting on 3 inches maybe. These I'd say are about 3.5 to 4 inches. So, you know, they're quite a sizable embellishment. Are there any in the warehouse that I can get our Julie to order for me? Yes, I would think so, Jasmine. Yes. Perhaps Pete could answer that for us. Pete, please. Have you got this collection in the warehouse? Jasmine's going to spend Julie's money for her. I love that. This is what it's all about. Alright, so that's our racing essentials. Now let's have a look at some inspiration from these, because these are incredible. The design team, as per always, have done a fantastic job, and I have to give a big thank you to them. I mean, they may well have forgotten, it's quite a while since they made these, I'm sure, but they're still absolutely gorgeous. They don't date, do they? So, you know, you can bring these out time after time after time. So here we have the beautiful motorbike cut with a mirror card back into it. We've got the nesting dies coming in. We've got this big cog background which is coming in. I'll show you that very shortly. We've got another of our fabulous sentiment libraries coming out. And we've also got some of the metallic waxes featuring here as well, which we will be using tonight. Okay, so yes, Julie can get these if she's in a position to do so, and Jasmine, you'll be able to purchase them. That's lovely. That's really nice. This is what we like to see. So here's another one. I love this background. I'm guessing this is one of the stencils, but I don't recognise it, but I must have it because I've got them all. But yeah, that's a lovely, it just sets it off, doesn't it? I love the black and the red and the gold. The corners here have been used to create almost a podium. I think that's lovely, really clever. And we've got our trophy. We've got the winners' flags, and we've got some of those screw heads coming in, and we've got the pump. It's just all there, isn't it? It's really, really super. I love these. And again, you don't have to go massive. This is a lovely little card with just the bike and the gas pump. And again, we've got gold mirror card done as a drop shadow, just to set off and give a little bit of light reflection to those pieces. Isn't that lovely? Oh, the direction stencil. Yes, thank you, Peter. And then we've got the decal and stitch nesting dies. Now, it's lovely to see the smaller sizes being used from these sets. I tend to not use the smaller sizes that much because I'm always making bigger cards, but I really love that, and it's got lots of detail on a very small space without being, you know, very complicated. So I love that. Here's another one. I love this. Black, red and silver. I mean, it's classic, isn't it? We've got some of the little cogs here. We've got one of the nesting dies. We've got a stencil again in the background. That bike is stunning. Somebody spent a lot of time. Who's this one? Lynn. She's cut all these bits out and pieced them back together to create that beautiful bike. And this happy birthday with its flagged ends is perfect, isn't it? It's lovely to see it all coming together. And here's another super one, the hot rod. I think this is Ian. He's done an inky background, giving us a sunny sky. Then we've got the hot rod, we've got the pump, and we've got another birthday wishes from the sentiment vault, which is just brilliant. Sorry, the sentiment library. And here's another one featuring those fabulous corners. These ones have been cut out using their outside cutting edge, so they're independent. Another stencil here in the background from the vault. Lots of these little cogs coming in just as embellishments. And again, one of those lovely sentiments. And of course the bike. And then another stunning creation using the gemstones glitter texture paste through the stencil, which is coming up. The corners, the nesting dies, the hot rod, the flags, it's all there. It's just beautiful. Absolutely love it. Now this one is beautiful. Again, using the stencil with the texture paste, and we've got all three of those amazing vehicles cut from silver mirror, which really shows off the embossing detail, doesn't it? We've got the flags again, the winners flags, and we've got another sentiment here. Then we have a much bigger card, but only because we've gone up with the mats and layers. So we've got the nesting dies, we've got the cogs panel, we've got the tools, we've got the bike, we've got the screw heads. It's all coming together to create beautiful pieces. And the final one from this collection is this one, which I absolutely love. The background's been stenciled. The centre panel has been embossed with the stencil through the machine. And then we've got, I love the colours, this orange and yellow. You do see these hot rod cars, don't you, in these vibrant colours. It's perfect. And I love its engine in silver there. That's just stunning. And that one's from Wendy. So beautiful work from our amazing, talented design team. Thank you all so very much. Right, so the Racing Essentials set would cost you $17.99. That's this one. Well worth every penny. They are, aren't they? Awesome. That's a good word. They are absolutely awesome. Right, next, my favourite, if I'm allowed one, steampunk. This is a gorgeous collection of dies. Now we have, look on either of these, this amazing steampunk hat with its funnel coming out. And this pipe work, I've seen this on some of the samples, it looks incredible. Yeah, really, really like this one. So this collection is $24.99. You're getting 8 dies and you're getting that big nesting die to frame it all with. So this is what these look like when you cut them out. Here's the large nesting panel, fob watch and clock face. You can use these together or separately. You can hang it from a chain. You've got a key. I love this airship. Absolutely adore this. That pipe work is stunning, and the hat is amazing as well. And again, lots of debossing detail. Diane, only you, my love, only you. That would look good. Yeah, it's great, isn't it, Emma? Absolutely stunning. So that's your Steampunk Essentials, $24.99 for that set. And again, well worth it. I think you'll have lots of fun with that. Now I've got to show you this. I think this was Ian's, and he's created this MDF home decor hanging piece. It's got all sorts. It's beautiful. It's got the clock face here, and we've got lots of the little cogs, and we've got the steampunk airship, and he's even brought in the little skyline from I think this is from one of the Christmas sets of the little houses, so the steamship's going over the village. And then he's used really cleverly the chain from that steampunk set, and he's twined some wire through it so it's more robust, and he's used that to hang it. I think that's absolutely brilliant of it. And then we've got more. So we've got another MDF piece here. This one's from Lynn. Oops, I'm getting it tangled up. And she's pretty much used all of that set on this. So we've got that fabulous airship. the clock face, the hat, the pipes, and lots of little cogs. And then she's used lots of little pearls and made them all look metallic, so they look like little rivets. Isn't that fab? I love it. Absolutely love it. Now here's a different take on steampunk. Steampunk doesn't have to be grungy, and this is a very pretty one. This is by Wendy, and she's used a mixture of gemstones glitters through the stencil to create a multicoloured panel down the side there. She's also created these incredibly sparkly flowers, I'm guessing by inking and then putting on some of the gemstones paste, and then die cutting and shaping the flowers. And we've got that steampunk hat just tucked in there. I think that's absolutely gorgeous. And the airship coming in on its own with an embossed coggy background and a happy retirement. I think that's perfect. And we've got some more MDF. This is beautiful as well, and this is Lynn. We've got the clock face in the middle of the flower. Love that idea. Really clever. We've also brought in a butterfly and put cogs on it. That's quite a common feature within steampunk, a coggy butterfly or coggy dragonflies. They feature quite a lot. Then we've got our hat. Our pipe work is in the background here, all over the place. We've got the key on its chain, and we've got lots and lots of cogs. I think that there's such lots of work in these, and it's so beautifully done. I'm really pleased to be able to give them another outing because they're just gorgeous. I'd hang that up in my house. I would. Gorgeous. Just one more. Again, this is Ian, and he's created a really cool background. I don't know if he's scored these lines or if he's had an embossing folder, but it's got little lines and it's got little rivets, and then he's added the pipe work over that, and a spanner and a little screw head, and then just a happy birthday. And this is only I don't know, it's not even 6 inches, that probably 5.5 inches, that card. So, you know, you don't have to be producing. Thanks, Ian. He's saying they are scored lines. Beautifully done. Love it. And then we've got some of the metallic wax going over that. Isn't that lovely? Absolutely super. And I've just got one more to show you here, which is bringing in the tools. We're going back to the tools essentials. I love the way this has been done, like a picture board. Sometimes when we go to exhibitions, you know, you see these amazing stands, and they'll do this with the tools. They'll put them in a frame and put them up on the wall. They look really attractive. But this one's been made really pretty, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's got flowers. We've got the cogs in the background. We've got entwined foliage here. And we've got one of those lovely nesting dies with the pierce edge coming in and the cog panel in the middle. So lots of different ways to use these. I'm sure you're beginning to appreciate just how versatile these really are. Okay, so let's move on and have a look at the stencil. Oh no, we'll have a look at the big cog background first. That's this one. So that is going to cost you $19.99. It's a set of 2 dies. We have another nesting die in here, and this is the second to largest edge that you get. So this is 2 dies. When you get dies like this, we often tell you this, but you might not have heard it before. You get an outer edge, which when you cut it on its own is going to give you I've lost me board. It's going to give you a nesting panel anyway, and then this panel does not have a cutting edge on it. So when you look at the edge here, it doesn't have a continuous cutting edge. So when you cut this on its own, it'll stay in the card, and that means you can leave your border as wide as you like, or you can dress it up however you like with different nesting dies, with different detail, all that sort of thing. So it's really useful to have dies like this because you can change them around so much. Really fabulous. If, however, you cut the 2 together, then you will get a panel with an edge and with the inner pattern cut. So cut them both at the same time like that, and it'll cut you a piece that size as a separate standalone panel. So really beautiful. But this die, as I'm sure you've seen from some of the samples, you can use little bits of it, you can use a strip of it, you can cut a square out of it, you can cut a circle out of it, anything you like. You can make totally different backgrounds with these. Even though you think it's a square, it doesn't have to be. So I love dies like that because they are really, really versatile. Okay, and then we've got our fabulous stencils and masks. So this is the large stencil, 8 by 8. Lots and lots of cog detail here. This is going to look fabulous with ink, with paste, with spray, but don't forget about embossing it through your machine with a rubber mat as well. Absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, really versatile again, because you don't have to use the whole thing. You can just use a strip. I quite like to use panels like this and then cut them into 3 and just move them apart a little bit and mat them. They look really, really effective. And then we've got the masks. These are fantastic. I think there are, how many did you get? 16 different cogs. Well, that's interesting, Kim. She's used the cog background to cut the butterfly from. Fabulous. I bet that looks stunning. I hope you've shared that on the page. We'd love to see it. If you do want to share your makes, there's a page called the Creative Expressions official Facebook group, and that's where we love to see all your fantastic creations. Please don't be shy. Please do feel free to share. We like to get inspiration as well, and it's lovely to see what you do with them. I mean, I would never have thought of doing that, cutting a butterfly from the cog background. So I think that's brilliant. Thanks, Kim. So here we go. We've got all these fabulous little cogs, well, not so little, bigger cogs. They all are the same style as all the other cogs, so they mix and match happily. You can use these as a mask. To me, the difference between a mask and a stencil is that a mask is something that covers something up. So if you put this down on a piece of card and use a spray across it, where the mask is, it will stay whatever colour your card was. So it's protecting it. With a stencil, you tend to work through the apertures to create the design. So it's like a positive and a negative in a way, but it doesn't really matter. Call them what you like. But these are designed so that you can scatter them across your page. And don't get too hung up on design and things like that. If you're thinking, I don't know where to put them, do you know what? Just pick them up and drop them. And just see where they land, and then scatter them, and then go for it. That's as easy as it needs to be. And, you know, sometimes we can get a bit conscious about placement and proportion and all. No, just scatter them and then see what happens. It's such fun. But also, what you can do with these is spread them out on a piece of card, and put the rubber mat on it. And then emboss it, so you could create a background as well out of these, and that's what I'm going to do on one of the cards that I'm going to show you tonight. If we get there, we should be okay, but I've been having trouble with my connections tonight, so fingers crossed. I don't want to jinx it now I've said that. Alright, so the cog stencil, the 8x8 stencil, is $5.99 retail. And the mini masks are $4.99. I think that's absolutely brilliant, and I think it's something that you'll reach for time and time again. It's always great to have tools like this that are just so usable, isn't it? Alright, so I just want to show you finally how all those nesting dies come together when you've taken them out of all the sets. So you finish up with 6 sizes, and they range from 3.5 inches to, I think it's 7 inches, or getting on for 7 inches, the largest one. And you can see from this that you can create beautiful frames if you use two of them together, but you've also seen on one of the samples how you can use an outer edge and then a plain inner edge, or, you know, any combination from the nesting dies is going to work with these, like any of your other nesting dies. And then you can create apertures. Obviously you can create mats and layers and all the other things we do with nesting dies. So I think that's really splendid, and I love the fact that they each come in different packets, so you can build up your set as you know. I maybe you can only afford one thing at a time. A lot of us do. So, you know, you might decide you're going to treat yourself to the big background. So you'll then get this size, and then perhaps later on you think, oh well, I'll treat myself to the steampunk collection bonus, because then you get the biggest size, and you can add to it that way. Whereas, you know, quite often with nesting dies, they're a sizable price, aren't they, and you've got to think about it. So I think that's a really, really clever idea. I like that a lot. Okay, so I'm going to come back to you and chat about dates and things that are happening. Hello. So obviously I'm here tonight. Jamie did a live last night. I don't know if any of you saw it, but it was fabulous, and he was introducing something very exciting. Francoise, our lovely Francoise in the woodwear department, has come out with a new autumn collection, and it's incredible. Absolutely love it. It's all about the mushrooms, all about the leaves. It's got quirkiness, it's got real arty flair. I mean, it's Francoise down to a T, and I'm so pleased for her that she's now, you know, back designing and bringing her fantastic artwork to us all. So Jamie did a live last night introducing that, doing a sneaky peek. But of course, Francoise herself is going to be on Hobbymaker on Monday, and I can't wait. She's going to be on at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. with this new collection. She's also doing a craft o'clock with Adam at 12 noon. Excuse me. So if you can get to see that, that'll be lovely, because you'll learn a bit more about Francoise if perhaps you're not that familiar with her. She'll be talking about her crafting life, her crafting journey, and all sorts of other things. And Adam's lovely to chat to. He puts you really at ease, which will be nice for Francoise, because she does get a little nervous, and she always does so well. You wouldn't know, but she does get really nervous when she goes on TV, so bless her. So please show your support if you can on Monday for that. So 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Because of that, Jamie's live will move to Tuesday, because obviously he can't be available for the TV programme and do his live at the same time, and also it makes it difficult for you to keep up with everything. So he's going to move his live to Tuesday night. I'll be doing next Thursday. Oh, this is very exciting. I've got a sneaky peek. I'm going to be introducing a new Sue Wilson collection. I can't wait. It's so good. Honestly, it's lovely. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that if that's something that you'd like to see. All right, so if there are no questions, I'm going to get cracking with a bit of a demo, I think, and we'll see what we can come up with. Okay. So I'm going to start with this one. I really like that fob watch. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I really love the cogs as well. I love all of it, actually, and I love the fact that it mixes and matches so well. So for this card, I've actually used the little loose cogs. So that little packet of cogs, and I've put these out on the base plate. Sorry, Alison. We've got to keep you coming back for more, haven't we? So I've used these. The first thing I thought when I saw these was, oh, you could emboss those into the card, and you can change it every time you do it, which is just fantastic. So I sort of spread them out. I didn't worry too much. It's going to look good whatever you do. Maybe not have two together that are too similar in size, that sort of thing, but you know, like I say, just scatter them and you'll end up with something lovely. So I put them out on the base plate of my die cutting machine like that. Then I took a piece of card and put that over the top. Then the rubber mat. So it's just like doing it with a stencil, but you haven't got a stencil, you've got loose pieces. And then whatever embossing plate you need in your machine, run that through and you will get a beautifully embossed panel that almost looks like it's come with an embossing folder, but it hasn't. And you also, of course, could use the deboss side because these give you detail from both sides, which is really cool as well. So that's what I've done to start this card. That's how I've started my background. Okay, I'm going to just put these back in the packet or I'll be losing them. So bear with me a bit. I'll find a better way to store these, easier to get at. Alright, so once I've got my background, I then needed to do some inking. So I've gone back to my roots with distress inks. I have Faded Jeans and Weathered Wood, and these are the original distress, these are not oxides. I prefer the original distress for blending. They don't lay down as much heavy colour, so they're more translucent, so you can see better patterns and things through them. I do like the oxides, but for blending I prefer the original. So I'm going to go in with Broken China. I could really do with a piece of paper, but never mind, I haven't got one. Just bear with me a second, sorry. There we go, just read one out of the printer. So I'm using Faded Jeans first, and I'm going to tap off the excess ink, and then I'm going to blend, and I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I don't want this all completely blue. And what you find when you ink over something that you've embossed is that the ink will take on differently on different levels because you've broken the fibres in the cardstock. So the cardstock absorbs the ink at different levels, and where it's raised you'll find it takes the ink on much more darkly. Obviously the recessed bits are recessed anyway, so they don't get as much ink applied to them. But if you just go gently and don't apply too much pressure to start with, you can create a really gorgeous two-tone effect just by inking over some embossing. So this is a lovely way to get some pattern and background and texturing. One thing I would say is always make sure that your sponge, and I do prefer a sponge for this sort of application, is nice and juicy. Even though I'm tapping off the excess, there's plenty of ink loaded into that sponge. It's when your sponge is dry that you get those drag marks and blobs that you know are hard to then get rid of, aren't they? So always make sure you've plenty of ink on your applicator, and just keep going. Don't worry if you do get a mark or a splotch, then just keep going and eventually you'll find it will blend away, so don't panic. Okie doke. So I did this with Faded Jeans, and then after I'd done it I thought, oh, it's too clean looking, it's too blue. I wanted it a little darker, a little grungier. So that's why I brought in weathered wood, which is a much more of a grey tone. So I'm going to go into that now. And I'm not doing all of it, but I will go into certain areas and add this slightly greyer tone. And even then, when I did that, I thought, it's still not grungy enough for me. But you might be thinking at this point, no, that's fine, I like that. And that's okay. But I decided I wanted it a bit more grungy. So what I then did was brought in the ink pad direct. And very, very, very gentle. Very gentle. I'm just going to gently bring this across the top of the pattern. And then what I do, I get my foam and I then blend over that while it's still wet, just so I can soften it slightly and it doesn't stay really harsh. Okay, so that really picks up a lot more detail, doesn't it? So just go and do the rest of it. And it doesn't even matter if you don't do all of it. I mean, this is a grungy background, so, you know, we're not looking for pristine perfection. I never thought I'd say that. Me being as pernickety as I can be. But I can do grungy stuff as well, and I do like it. You just have to sort of let yourself go. So once I got to that point, I thought, well, that's quite nice. We're getting there now. But I need a bit more blue. So I went back into my blue. Now this is what you can do. And I didn't take off the excess this time. And because I've got some quite large flat areas where there's a space between the cogs, I thought, well, they're the bits that need a bit more colour on them. So I went across those and added a bit more. And then that looked a lot better. But I still wanted a bit more texture to it. So again, I went to my weathered wood and very gently I just dragged my ink pad across the end of the card. And what this did, it caught the edge, but it also added a few kind of random little streaks. And that was what I wanted. I was looking for that, and it made it a bit better for what I was looking for. So I only did the two long sides, because if you start coming the other way as well, you'll end up with something that looks more like a plaid, and I didn't really want that. So, and then I felt it needed framing properly, so then I go to my black soot, and first thing I do is edge it just by swiping down. This really matters because it frames the piece, but also if you're going to put that piece of card on a dark background and it has a white edge to it, it will be seen. The white edge will show, it will shout, hello, I'm here. So I always like to darken the edge off, and then I just want it to bring a bit of that black soot, only a little bit, onto the front. And you can do it by blending flat like I'm doing, or you can just bring your ink pad over onto the top surface and then just catch the edge there, and that just gives it a proper little frame, makes it look like a finished piece. I think that's, you know, it's quite important to do that with a background. Somehow they never look quite finished if you don't. So there we are. So that's my background, and I was happy with that once I got to that point. So if I bring that up now, you can see all that lovely texture. You can see these drag marks coming from the side, and you can certainly pick up the blue and the blue grey. So that's my first bit done. Now the next bit involved the die cuts. So I've got the clock face, the fob watch and the clock face. And I've also done this thing where we cut two pieces at the same time. So I cut a piece of black on top of a piece of white with the die facing the black. And what that does, it cuts the black piece, but it doesn't cut the white piece other than the outside edge. So this gives us the perfect backdrop to that die. So I've now got a solid clock face that I can mount on top of that and make it stand out a bit more. And I'm going to change that the way it looks. Then I have got oodles of those gorgeous little cogs. Look at these, aren't they fab? And I'm going to bring in some of Jamie's waxes now and start waxing these. And these look really good when it's done over black card. And the black card is actually it's surprising how much texture is in the black card when you start putting polish or metallic wax over it. So you could wax the piece of card first and then cut all the cogs out, but then you'd always have a black edge on all of them and you'd end up probably going around and doing them again. So I just cut them and then do them all individually. So it does take quite a while. I'm not going to do them all because I'm sure you can understand once you've seen a couple. So I'm going to bring in the copper pot. Now if you've not seen Jamie's waxes before, these are beautiful. They're an oil-based wax, so they're not a paraffin wax. They don't smell at all. And they're very creamy. They will go hard. They need a little bit of heat to soften them. You can put them on the palm of your hand or just put them in a warm environment, and then they'll be absolutely fine. So don't panic if you think they've gone hard. That's just the nature of the beast. It's what it does. So I'm going to start with the gold bullion, and I'm just going to quickly scoot over that cog. That's as difficult as it gets, and that already has a lot of texture in it and a lot of sort of distressed old metal. So I love that, and it's really easy and really quick, and you can add more if you want. It's entirely up to you how metallic you want these to be. Then I'm going to just touch in with a little bit of the copper, and again here and there, you don't have to do it all, but they do look amazing when they're done, and you wouldn't believe that was just a little piece of black card. Isn't it fab? So obviously I do that with all of them. It's the sort of thing you can sit with a tray on your lap and do when you've nothing better to do. Right, so for the actual watch face, the solid one, I'm going to do it with the gold bullion, and I'm just going to do that all over to give that more of a golden tone. It's a lovely soft gold, this. It's really nice. It's not brassy at all. So just rub it on. You can use your finger. I'm using a finger dauber because, as you can see, I've got quite long nails, and if I put my nails in there, they're just going to get full of wax, which, you know, is not very nice, and it's wasteful. So I find it easier to use a dauber. And you can build up on this colour if you just let it sort of set for a minute or so, and then you can come back and you can add some more. So while that's doing that, I'm going to move on to my pocket watch, and I'm going to start with the gold. And again, look how quick. And it's incredible when you do this how much detail you suddenly realise is in these dies, because it all pops out. I don't know if you can see, but around that clock, look at that gorgeous edging, and it just pops out when you start waxing on top of it. So it's gorgeous. You don't have to press hard when you're doing this. If you do, you'll end up getting wax into that detail, and then obviously you're not going to see it as well. So I'm just scooting over the top of it, really, not pressing on very hard, and then going into the cogs in the centre as well. And it don't matter if you miss a bit, it's absolutely fine. It's all that kind of effect. Slightly imperfect, slightly aged, a little bit distressed, a bit like me. Oh dear. I know Jamie and Pete were taking the rip out of me because when I was away at the weekend I took a bit of a tumble. I was clambering up some steps with all my clobber and I tripped up and I ended up sprawled across the lady's lawn. Her dog came flying out and was barking around my head, and I'm lying there thinking, ouch, 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 don't know which bit to rub first, and oh, get up before anybody sees you. So that's what they were referring to when they said I'd had a roll in the hay. It wasn't as exciting as that. I'd just measured my length on the grass, which is not fun at all. Honestly, can't take me anywhere. Right, so that's my clock face, and I'm going to leave it like that. I'm leaving it gold. And then I'm going to come back to... I keep wanting to call it a fob watch. I suppose it is a fob watch, isn't it, really? Pocket watch, whatever. One of them. Anyway, I'm going to come in with a bit of copper. And again, just here and there. There's no point doing it gold and then doing it copper and covering all the gold up with the copper. We're trying to create a bit of shade in here. So it's just touches of it here and there. So the gold still shines through, and we've still got bits of black. We've still now got copper. I don't know if you can pick that up on this camera, but it is really fabulous, and it just looks now like old metal. And then I want to do the same with the clock face. So it's really, really quick, honestly. I know you're sat watching me, you're probably thinking it's not, but it is. Really, to create an embellishment of this calibre so quickly, I think it's just incredible. I love it. Bit of copper here and there on that as well, and that's it. Happy with that. So let's stop. Sometimes that's the trick as well, isn't it, knowing when to stop, because you could go on forever. Now I've got waxy fingers. Let's just get that off. So I was really stiff. I was, and I didn't know I'd got bruises where I don't know how I did it. But anyway, I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for asking. Yeah. I'm lucky I bounce. Yeah, they take the mickey out of me all the time, Kathleen. They do. Very naughty. But I don't mind. I love them really. They're like my two naughty little brothers. Right, I'm just going to add some glue onto my clock face. Not too much, I don't want it all oozing out everywhere. So I'm just going to go around the edge. I should have changed my glasses because I can't see properly now. Do you know, it's rubbish getting old, isn't it? Everything starts to disintegrate. There, that just, it's so easy when you've done that embossed backing bit to it. It just slots right back into place. It's cool. Great technique. Thank you, Jamie, for showing us all that one. Oh, get in. Right, so I'll just let that glue set. And then I had a big dilemma with this clock. Kim, you can talk. It was first thing in the morning. I'm not that bad. I didn't know where to put it behind. I quite liked it behind, but then I did in the end decide to put it on the front. So that's what I'm going to do. So just a bit of glue, and all I'm going to do is put the glue on the inside edge of all these little cogs. Just all the way around on the bits that protrude into the centre. And then, let's turn that over so it's not so mucky. And then I can try to get this in the middle with the 12 pointing up and the 6 pointing down. That's a good trick as well. And then just let that fix. Okay, and now we've got a beautiful pocket watch with a gold face and a distressed edge. So I think that's super. I'm really pleased with that. Now, I wanted to use one of the sentiments on this card, and I quite like the idea of using Happy Retirement, but the pattern that came with Happy Retirement is very nice, but it didn't really suit this style of card, and it was a bit too big, it was a bit too long. So I actually decided to use this one, which came from Happy Halloween, of all things. And it suited a lot better, the style of it and the size of it and everything. So I used the Happy Retirement words out of this one, but I put it on the Happy Halloween frame. So that's the beauty of these sentiment library. You can mix and match across them as long as they fit. You can mix and match and use them however you like. So I was really chuffed with that. I think that was a much more suitable shape and size for what I wanted. So I've cut the largest one in black, and I've cut the smaller one from when I made this originally. It was bigger than I needed, so I had an edge, and I cut this from the edge, so it's got that smoky kind of distressed look to it that just kind of happened while I was inking the rest of the panel. So again, a happy accident. I was quite pleased with. And I'm going to do the same wax on this. So I'm starting with the gold, and I was really pleasantly surprised when I did this, because it just started to look like an old brass letterbox, and I thought, oh, I like that. I did. I thought, oh. So I thought, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to add a bit of copper so it matches everything else I've done. So I put quite a bit of the gold on, but you notice I'm just going in one direction, so it gets sort of like almost brushed. You know, you get brushed metal. It looks a bit like that. Well, it does in my head, so you can disagree if you like. Shan't be offended. And then I'm just going to bring in a little bit of the copper and add that here and there, and again just working in that one direction. And it's just the texture in the black card that it's picking up. It's quite a magical thing, really. Oops, that was a bit heavy, but that's okay. So that's my backdrop, and then I needed to ink the edge of this like I did my card, so I just picked up my blender. I didn't add any more ink, and I just swiped the edge to get a bit more definition, and I brought it up onto the front as well. So that's now got a bit more definition. Okay, and then I've got the Happy Retirement already cut, and I'm going to use my trick of leaving it in the die and gluing it while it's in the die. I find this so easy to do with these long wiggly sentiments that can stretch all out of shape and get you all frustrated, and then you try to put glue on and it's everywhere, and yeah. So I just leave it in the die, put the glue on. It won't harm the die. If you're bothered, you can soak your dye in warm water and it'll all just peel away, but it tends not to stay on it anyway. It's really quite good, because they have a coating on them, these dyes, you know, so they are protected a little bit. So I do use a fine tip, and I try not to put, you know, 3 tons of glue on one little sentiment. And then I put the dye onto the panel. And it's much easier as well to line it up, I find, when I do that. You can see from the bottom of the dye if you've got it in a straight line, whereas sometimes with the letters it's not so easy to tell. And then I'm just going to let that fix for a little minute, and then I'm going to start pushing through the little holes. So keep it in place. I've used Jamie's Dry's Clear Glue, which does take a little bit longer to dry, but that's a good thing because you can wiggle it. But just push through those little holes, and then when you feel it's starting to grab, just start to lift the die and release the word. If it doesn't come immediately, just wait a little bit. Make sure you've got the first bit started, and then it should get easier after that. So you just push and lift the die, push through, lift the die, and then it just releases. And look at that. Oops, just bent the end then. Perfect. No stretching, no wiggles, and it's straight, and it's so much less dramatic. I always get anxious when I'm putting sentiments on things because they just do their own thing, don't they? So I decided that that needed raising a little bit, so I'm going to bring in the 1mm foam tape, which I'm absolutely in love with. I think it's amazing. I'm just going to snip a little piece of that to go on the back of there, and then I can put that on my brass plate. That's what it looks like, doesn't it? It's great. And then I've got my sentiment done. Okay, so the cogs, I'm not going to do them all because there's so many of them, but you've seen the original piece. So now it's a matter of matting and layering, and I did find this. Now I don't know if this is one of the ones that we've already got back, but it's the antique copper in the pearl card. Pete, are you still with us? Could you enlighten us as to if that's available, please? And if not, will it be? Thank you. So I've just matted my sort of, it's gone a bit sort of steely grey now, hasn't it? This, but I quite like that. So again, you can add foam tape to the back of that if you wish. And then I've matted that onto black, just a very small edge of black. And then I brought in one of the Foundations cardstocks. This one's the sky blue, and again it's got that grey edge to it, so I thought it matched up perfectly with the background I'd created. I do like to use coloured card for my card blanks, and I pretty much always make my own blank cards, and quite often out of coloured cardstock as well, because I just like it. It brings the whole project together. So once that's on there, I know that I want my fob watch to be at a jaunty angle. Make sure I've got room for my sentiment at the top left there. And then basically what I did, I just started to bring in these cogs and scattered them, and some of them I took them off the edge. I did this before I stuck this down, obviously. Again, just dotted them about and created little clusters with different sizes, different shapes, took some off the edge, and then filled in with some of the tiny little ones, so just to create a bit of interest. You can even stack 2 or 3 on top of each other. And there are also some that have quite big little, well, big little circles, little circles like that, that have come out of the middles of things, and they look really cool as well if you stack them on top of another. So it's like it's got, because they're not as big as those screw heads, but you could do it with those. But you can certainly stack your cogs and create interest as well that way. And I just did almost a corner with them, if you like, a scattering up and down the right hand side of the card. They just look absolutely gorgeous. I haven't waxed these ones, as you can probably tell. Little things like that have come out of the middle of others are really cool to add as well. So once you've got those in place, snip off the bits that are overhanging if you've got any like that, and then you can put your card together. And that is how I've done this. So I hope that all made sense. If you have any questions, do please ask them. But you can see all that lovely texture from the embossed background. We've got texture with the waxes that's gone over the black card and all these fabulous cogs. I just love that, and a happy retirement sentiment. So there we go. That's the first one done. Easy peasy, wasn't it? I just die cut everything beforehand and then waxed it all at the same time and then put it all together. So it's really nice, not hard at all. All right. Excuse me. I'm going to move on and do another one for you now. So it's 8:15. We're not doing so bad, are we? So I had to do the airship. I had to. So this is my effort with the airship. So I've used a couple of, well, quite a few actually, of the nesting panels. I've used the cog large die background. I've used a different sentiment from the library and a different label. Oh, there's all sorts going on. It's lovely. I'm really pleased with this one, just because I love the airship, and I really want to focus on how I dealt with the airship. So I've cut it out of antique cream cardstock, and look at all that fabulous embossed detail. It's just stunning. These little fan blades in the middle here, can you see those? They tend to fall out. So, simple solution, piece of sellotape on the back. They're not going anywhere. So the first thing I did was to ink the, what's it, thingamabob. I'm losing my words now, that's not good. The airship. So I've come in with the faded jeans, which is the more bluey of the two I've been using, and I've just inked the whole thing, just gently. I don't want to obliterate all those lovely embossed lines, but I did want it to be blue. Don't ask me why. I just thought it needed to be blue. So there we go. It's got little flags up here. Really fabulous. So just take that to a point where you're happy with it. It's got some colour on, but I can still see the lines in the cream card and all the little dots and the detail that's on there. And then I'm going to wax it. So I'm bringing in Raindrop metallic wax, and I'm now going to wax this over the top. The reason I inked it first, I find that these waxes give much more intensity if you do them over an inked surface than if you do them onto raw cardstock. So look how beautiful that's coming up now with the wax. If I did the wax directly onto the cardstock, it would be paler, a lot paler, obviously, because they're semi-transparent, I think, so it's picking up the blue ink underneath. And it just made it stronger, which was lovely. So I'm doing the whole thing blue. Now you can really see how those lines are still staying cream. And then the little basket that's underneath where the passengers will be sitting, I guess. Okay. I want this quite intense blue, so I'm going to keep layering until I get it as strong as I want it. And this panel in the centre where there's this sort of fan thing, you could build that up with one of the cogs if you wanted to. You could add another cog on top of it and really make it stand proud. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? My picture keeps going off tonight. I don't know what's up with it. I hope it's alright for you guys. Can you still see what I'm doing? Okay. And then I decided, and I don't know what I've done with it now. What I did, I went over it with Jamie's metallic blue ink pad, but I seem to have mislaid it. I must have put it away. That's a shame. So if you have a look at this one, you can see it's a completely different blue. So I waxed it first and then I went over it with the metallic ink pad. That's annoying because I can't show you. But anyway, I just swiped the ink pad literally over it. And then I went in with just a little dot and dab here and there of the copper, just as if it's got sort of some of its plates are just starting to tarnish. I didn't do a lot, and then I did a little bit underneath, and just literally dot and dab here and there. And then I did a bit more on the jet propulsion at the back and a bit more on the spike at the front, and that was it really. But it does need that blue ink pad on it, I think. Anyway, I'm not going to go looking for it now. So that was as far as I've got with that, and then I thought, well, it needs a bit more detail, it needs something to make it a bit more distinct. So I went for my Jelly Rolls Stardust pens, and there's a fabulous copper in here, and I literally then just began to trace the lines with this gold pen, copper pen rather, and I just gently went up the lines, and because they're so deeply embossed, it's really easy to stay within them. And again, I didn't do them all because airships they have like metal straps around them, don't they? Because they're real, and they're not on every section. So I missed some out and then went through some more. And if your pen starts to not work, it's because it's picking wax up, so just wipe it. And then I decided to just start to pick out certain bits and bobs of detail. So like on the top of the dome up here, there's some stunning detail. It's like the top of St Paul's Cathedral. It's brilliant. Love it. Pick those out. And then all these little dots I filled in just by rolling my pen in the little dots. I wasn't convinced it was going to work, but it does. It's brilliant. So I did all of those. Let me show you. I hope you can see the sparkle. You can't really see it, can you? But it is there. It's lovely. And then also around this middle, this fan, there's an embossed ring. And if you just get your pen in there, you can go round, and it's easy if you just take your time, and you can stay in that little circle. It's quite defined, so you can pick that out and highlight it. And then I also did all the little dots at the bottom and the dot in the middle of there, so all these little dots. And there we are. I did a bit more than that, but you get the idea. So I don't know if we can see if this will pick it up or not. But it really sort of brought it alive, just those little bits of detail. So there we are, that's how I did me what's it, you know, airship. Haley, terrible. Fancy doing that? Does she not make an appointment? Right, so next on this creation, I've got various bits and bobs going on. So let's start with our background. So I've used the big cogs die, and I've used it with its own edge. I'm just looking for it. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm done with it. Here we are. So this is what you get if you cut the panel with its own edge. You'll get this whole thing. Ignore that in the middle. Then what I've done is I've taken two of the smaller nesting dies and I've cut a frame. I've then used the smaller of those two and cut the middle out of my cog panel. And then I can put the frame back over that so that you hide any sort of scruffy edges. And now we've created, from a cog background, we've created a frame. And I think that's gorgeous, and it's lovely to show a different way of using a big panel like this, because you can do this with any of the big background panels that we have. Then I've also used the small nesting die to cut a panel of cream, and I've used the big stencil through my embossing machine and embossed the cogs into that. Can you see that? And I've done that in the cream. And then I've used the next size up of the nesting die to create a mat for that. So this is how I've started to build the design up. Okay, so try that with your background dies because it's lovely, and so long as you've got a frame to finish it off with. And I don't know if any of you remember when I was doing, oh, which collection was it? I think it was the Floral Wonder collection, and in that there were some circle frames and square frames, quite small, but they're absolutely perfect for finishing off something like this, because obviously when you've cut the middle out of something you're going to have a really raggy scruffy edge, aren't you, because you've cut bits of the design away. But because I've used the same die that I'm now using for my frame, when I put that back, it lines up, and you can find the little knobbles and line them up, and then it just goes back into place perfectly. So excuse me, that's what I did with that one. So I'm going to glue that in place. And again, because obviously there are lots of holes in this, you don't want to put masses of glue on this, so I just did a quick scribble down each side. Oops. And then at first you think, well, I can't tell where it fits, where's it going to fit, but it actually just slots into place, and you suddenly realise that all those funny little knobbly bits do line up because it's where you've used the die in the first place. Now just make sure, like I'm working on a piece of paper, that because I've got glue, I'll have glue coming through, I don't want to stick it to that, so I'm going to get that out of the way. Well, I'll just get that set. Okay, I'm going to put that to one side while it dries, and I'm going to come back to this bit. So this bit, I decided it looked a bit wrong, just cream, but I didn't want to ink the whole thing because it would have distracted from that. So I just wanted to add a bit of shade, again very, very soft, so very gentle pressure, and just pick up. Suddenly all those lovely details pop out, but it's ever so gentle, don't press hard. I just wanted this really soft, and I'm not doing the middle so the star shape can the airship rather, can stand out. I tried it. I did several different strengths, different colours, different, you know, like all over. And the airship just disappeared. It didn't stand out at all. So I decided to just do it this way, very soft and just at the edges. And then I wanted it a bit more grey, so I've gone back into my weathered wood and put in a bit of grey. It's getting darker now, so I need to stop. There we go. And then I decided to just do some black on the very, very edge. It just gives it a bit more, I don't know, a bit of oomph. And I went right onto the top, just gently. You notice I didn't re-ink my applicator. There's plenty of ink still in there to do this, because I don't want it really heavy and black. I just want it, again, to have a bit of a frame, a bit of an edge. So I'm not pressing really hard here either, and I'm just flicking down those little prongs really, and slightly onto the front of it, and that's it. I'm not going to do any more. So now bring my frame back, and I've got it on this cream panel, or I will have when I've stuck it down. Now this is going to go straight back in there because it was cut with the same die, so obviously it just sits in nicely. Now you can see why that shading makes all that difference. If you just had it cream, well, it would just look like that, which is fine, but I don't know, it loses something, doesn't it? It looks a bit more bland. Bring that in and suddenly it's got definition and dimension, and there's a bit more interest, isn't there? So that's where my airship is going to now sit, and you can see that it holds its own quite nicely. I am going to add some shape to it, and I do wish I had that blue ink pad because that would strengthen the colour. So I'm not actually going to stick it down because I'm not happy with it. So that's the main panel, and the airship's going to go in the middle, and then I just needed something to finish off with, and I still was on this blue-grey theme. I was thinking, what have I got that's blue-grey? And I thought, oh, I know what I've got. Crushed velvet paper. I know this is probably out of stock, and I know that it's taken a long time to come back, but you may already have it. This is the Thunder Fog, and it is like a blue-grey, like a steel colour. And it's absolutely gorgeous, and I just thought it was perfect for this project. So I've got a cream card that I've made, and then my Thunder Fog velvet paper. I love the name Thunder Fog, and that just suits this genre as well, doesn't it? In my head. It's a good job you can't see inside my head. So there are my mats and layers, and my airship's going to go in there, and then I just need it to finish off my sentiment. So I did the same thing. This time I just used the smaller size. Oh, was it? Or was it the bigger size? Yeah, the smaller size. And I've gone around the edge of this as well, just to distress it a little bit, because it's far too clean as it looks now. So just a quick flick down the edges. And these dies do have a little bit of embossing detail on them when you put them through your machine. So it's actually got a little beveled edge with a little ridge around it, which is lovely, but it really doesn't pop out until you start to ink it. And then suddenly you think, oh, there's a detail there that I didn't notice. It's really nice. So that's lovely to pick it out with some ink as well. So just a gentle swipe. What you don't want is sort of a really heavy line. I sort of start on the edge, and then I bring it slightly further over onto the front, so it gradually blends into the top surface. You don't want it suddenly, you know, starting with a really heavy line. So it just kind of fades in, but it's just got that little distressed edge. So that works nicely for me. And then I did the same thing with the sentiment. And I've lost it actually. But anyway, I used I'm not doing very well tonight, am I? It was a happy birthday wishes, and I had it already cut, ready to go, and it's just taking itself off somewhere. Never mind. So this is going to go here, just on the bottom corner, with the sentiment on there. Oh, you could stamp something on there, couldn't you? You don't have to use a die cut sentiment. You could stamp on these as well, which is lovely. So let me show you the original, because it's far better than what I've just done. So you can see how much stronger that airship is. Oh, Thunderfog is still available at the stockist, so go on the hunt if you like that one. You can just see it here. We've got that lovely cog frame, we've got the embossed and inked cog panel in the centre there, and we've got our incredible airship, and there's a birthday wishes. And this cardstock, I didn't mention this, but this is called Steel, and this is from the Foundations Pearl selection, and that is available. I checked that one, and it's beautiful. It's a real toned down silver. It's almost like a satin silver. It's beautiful. I really like it. So I used that for my cogs. So there we are. So that's the second one. I think you can see a bit better as well, all the little coppery details on this airship. You can pick up those little sparkly bits. It's lovely. Okay, so that's number 2. Have we any questions, or do we need to update anybody on anything? Looks like a World War II bomb. Oh, I hope not. I suppose it is a bit like a Zeppelin, isn't it? They had those mad Zeppelins that used to set fire and crash, didn't they? Crash and burn. Yeah. Not that I was there. I'm not quite that old. Now, this third card is kind of still in the making. So I'm going to talk you through it, but hopefully it will make sense. I just don't have a finished one to show you. So I'm going DL. And I'm going DL nesting panels because they were on my mind, because they're so recent and they're just beautiful. So I chose the DL postage edge, and I don't know if you know, but with the DLs you get a new decorative edge, and this one is the dash. So you get postage edge with dash. So this is much longer than the stitch. The little marks are longer than the Declan stitch. So I've done that in black, and then I've just rubbed over that quite roughly with the Silver Star wax. And again, I've just very lightly gone over, and it's made that stitch detail really pop. Can you see that? Sorry, somebody's asking a question. Do you think you could show how to put sticky paper? Where? I've missed your question, Barbara. Where's it gone? Sorry, if you could just ask me again, and I'll answer you. Okay. So yeah, Silver Star, and just up and down over the stitchy bit, because I'm going to put another panel on this, so you don't need to do a lot of it. You only need to do over the edge. So that's my next panel, and that's going to sit right on top of my DL white card. So I am going to stick this one down, and what I'm going to do, because my card's a bit springy, I'm going to open it out and put it flat. It makes it easier to get your panel on. Top tip. It's really tricky trying to get a panel on a card that's boinging up and down. So open it out, flatten it, and then put your panel on, and then you can fold it up again. And also I tend to turn these sideways. I find I can see better. Instead of trying to look at a long tall card, I can look at a short wide card. I can get my panel in better. Okay, so that's on. I also like to turn over and rub from the other side just to get that glue to attach. Alright, so that's the first layer. The next layer, I've used the plain edge nesting DLs. I have got these to show you. Oops. So these are the plain ones. You get lots and lots and lots in the set of those. And then here's the new postage edge and dash. And I've used the largest size of that for that panel that you've just seen me attach to the card. So do them at the same time and you'll get the dash detail in your cardstock. Of course you could use the dash edge with the plain. You could use the dash edge with the decal. You can mix and match all across these beautiful nesting sets. So I've just used a plain one to get my next mat and layer. But before I stick that down, I want to show you how I created my next mat. Because for me, you've probably heard me say it before, the Enchanted Sprinkles circuit breaker is one of my absolute favourites, and that's this one. And it has this amazing array of colours in it, and it made me think steampunk. So I've got two pieces cut slightly bigger than I need, so slightly bigger than DL. And I'm going to use the first one. I'm going to mist it on the back. This just stops the card from bowing when you start to add water to it. Then I'm going to mist it on the front as well, and I'm going to add just a very light sprinkle of the circuit breaker. I don't want loads of this. Now because I've wet my paper already, it will already start to move. I do quite like that. Alright, so that's enough. I don't want loads, as I say, of this. I don't want it like all over. I mean, it ends up all over, but I'm doing something different with it. So I'm now going to wet this and get it dissolving and moving. But I don't want it super strong because it will detract from the embellishments I'm going to put on top. So what I did, I got a second piece of card and I put it on top. And then you can see all the water squidging out. Take these two apart and you get two panels for one out of that, and it makes them a lot softer and lighter, which is what I wanted for what I was doing. I'm just going to take that inky edge off there. So can you see, because that was my second piece of card and I didn't wet the back of it, and look how it's bowing, and that's why the ink's all running off. But that's okay. So I'll just put that to one side, and then this one I still want to soak up a bit more ink, so I'm going to go in and just pick up any sort of puddles that I've got and lighten it. I don't want it, I want all the speckles, and I've got all the speckles from the Enchanted Sprinkles, but I didn't want that super intense coloured background, so you can just dab it away and then you get a softer finish, and that's what I wanted. So that's how I've created the background for the panel I'm going to do next, and I've used my guillotine to cut this to size. So this is only a tiny bit smaller. Here we are. Than the blue panel I just showed you. So look at that now. It does look like rusty metal, and it's got that patination that sort of old rusty metal does get, but it's not overpowering. It's got all the colours that come in the circuit breaker. It's got the metallic shimmer from the mica, and it was just what I was looking for. So I was really happy that I'd messed about with that. So I'm going to attach these two together now. as I say, I did cut this on my guillotine because the next size down in the nesting layers left me more margin than I wanted for this. I didn't want this blue to be so strong. I could have put another layer in between of another colour, but you know, sometimes that's just a step too far, isn't it? So we'll get that one straight. Again, I love this glue. The simple fact that you can actually move things around for a little while till it grabs, and then just press it from the back. Do be careful if you do this. I learnt the hard way that you can get a paper cut, a nasty paper cut off the back of a die cut, because it bevels the edge down that way. It makes it sharp on this back side, and if you go running your fingers up it, I've had umpteen paper cuts by doing that. It's not nice. So that's why sometimes you might see me do this with a tissue when I want to rub it from the back, because I got a bit fed up of having my fingers cut up. So learn from me so you don't have to. Sounds a good thing, isn't it? Right, so I've got my black with the silver wax on there, and then I've got my circuit breaker. How dramatic is that? I love that. But I do want this to be up on foam, so I'm sorry, I'm going to make you watch me put foam on this. It's not that bad. I do believe it's back in stock, the foam tape. If any of you need it, get on to your stockists about it. I absolutely love it. And I was never one for foam, really. I never used to use foam much on anything. Jamie's corrupted me. He's got me doing things I never used to do. But that's good, isn't it? It's good that we develop and we move on and we do different things. So again, I'm going to open my card out flat just to make it easier to get this in position, and this is going to sit just inside that lovely dash line. There we are. Okay, so happy with that. Now that's my basic background card and mats and layers done, and then I decided I was going to go full on steampunk with this one. So I've brought back my fob watch and the clock face. I've got the hat, and I've got the key and the chain, and then some cogs as well. So with these ones, I've done them with the Silver Star, so black cardstock and Silver Star metallic wax, and I've just gone over the top. This one I cut with 2 pieces of black card together. So the front one cut this clock face, the back one just cut the shape, and then I've waxed the front one but not the back one. So I've got a silver clock face but a black back into that. And this is the pocket watch, but I've cut the fob off the top of it, so just to make a circle. And then the key, the key looks amazing when you put metallic wax on it. It really does. Gorgeous. They all do. That's the chain. So much detail. They really are stunning. I'm leaving the cogs black on this one because I wanted a bit of variety. And I'm going to just quickly wax the hat just so you can see just how easy it is and how much detail this pulls up. So look at that, straight over, one little swipe and already it's there. It's just amazing. And when you do this and you do see all that detail start to pop out, it's beautiful. Little tiny rivet marks, this lovely little fan shape in the middle. It's gorgeous. I love it. And it's got this amazing curved brim. It's nice actually to see a steampunk hat That hasn't got goggles on it for a change, because they always do, don't they? And it's nice, I like a goggle on a hat, but this is lovely with having its little chimney. It's just different. It's great. So there we are, got my elements. And again, I'm going to stick the clock face to the outside. So same as before, we're just going to put glue on the end of the cogs around the centre. And then I can attach the face to that. And then we can start to build the card. So hopefully you can see these cards are quite quick to do because the product is so beautiful that you don't need to do very much with it at all. Just a couple of, you know, details and you're all right. So there we are. That's stuck now. So that's where the fob was at the top. So what I'm going to do is put this on my card. It's a bit of an angle, so I've got the what was the fob pointing over there now. I want to bring in the chain. I'm going to put the hat there. So I'll just get my spacing right, and I want the chain to come from under the hat like that. So that's about in the right place. So what I'll do, glue the clock down first. Oops, it's come apart. That's not great, is it? Because there's not got many anchor points. That's quite a delicate attachment. I'm just going to put glue around there and then around the edge. No point putting it in the middle because the middle is raised, so it won't meet the surface of this anyway. Okay. So I want it there, about there. And then I'm going to bring in the chain. I just want to make sure that's coming from underneath where the hat's going to be. So about there. Couple of anchor points, doesn't need much. And just have that coming down the side. Right. Put a little bit of glue on there. And just wait for that to set. Oops, you can still see me. My picture keeps going off. And then I'm going to put the key there. So it reminds me of what do they call those ladies that used to be in charge of big old fancy houses? Was it the Chatelaine? Don't know why, but it just reminded me of that. Lady Chatelaine. Strange where my brain goes. I knew. Now I think, should we have the hat raised? No, I don't think we need to. You can if you want, it's up to you. I'm just going to put a bit of glue on it, get it attached. Oops. I do like that background. I'm rather taken with that. Might have to experiment with some of the other colours doing that. There we go. Just give that a minute to grab. And then what I'm going to do is just dot in a few of the cogs just to finish off, and that's why I've left them black, because I wanted them to sort of stand apart, and it brings out this clock face as well. So I'm going to tuck one under the hat there. And then I'm just going to dot some others around. Not too many. That one can go there. And then a couple down here. I mean, it doesn't matter, does it? Put them where you want. Just dot them about. But it just somehow completes the picture. If you've got a little gap that's missing something, pop in a few cogs. And this one has still got its little star in the middle of it, so I'm going to keep it attached if I can. I've got some glue on the back of it before it pops out. And just put it down as a whole thing. There we go. Could add a few more. Could add some dots. You could do some splattering. But I quite like that as it is. Make sure everything's attached. Okay, and there we have it, our steampunk creation with a hat, the fob watch that's now just become a circle in a way, the chain, the key and a few cogs. But I love that circuit breaker background, I'm really pleased with that, and I think it really suits this style as well. So there we are, that's it from me. I am going to come back to you just to finish off the evening. Hello, swap my specs. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's given you some inspiration if you've already got this collection, a few more ideas to go back perhaps and have a go at. Thanks again, a massive shout out to the DT because they're just amazing and your samples are beautiful. So let me remind you of a few dates and then I'll let you go and relax for the rest of your evening. So don't forget, on Monday our lovely Françoise will be on Hobby Maker live at 3 PM and 8 PM with her brand new autumn collection. If you want a sneak peek, you can catch up on Jamie's live that he did last night where he run through the collection and showed you all the elements. She's also doing a craft o'clock with Adam Humphries at 12 PM and that will be live on the Hobby Maker Facebook page. So you can watch it live, but you'll be able to watch it later on as well. I believe they go to YouTube as well. I think you can find them on YouTube. So keep an eye out for that. Sorry, I was just distracted by Barbara's asking about sticky paper. I didn't get the question, Barbara, I'm really sorry. I'll try and look back. I can't always see the comments afterwards because I'm not on my own page, so it's tricky. Would like to see me make 6x6 cards because the bigger cards are expensive to send. Yeah, well, I mean, all the cards, any of the cards I've made tonight are... Well, the DL is obviously DL, but this one, this big one, you don't have to add all these extra maps and layers, do you? Just finish it when it gets to 6 inches. Because this isn't 6 inches. This big die panel is less than 6 inches. So you stop at that point, put a cream paper on, and then put that on your 6x6 card. So it's only because we like to add all these extra frames and things and make bigger cards, but you don't have to be doing that at all. This one was a bit of an unusual size. That was just the way it ended up, but you can make that into a 5x7 quite easily. And the DL, I think there's plenty of room to decorate. There's lots on there going on, isn't there? There's still room for a sentiment as well at the bottom here if you wanted one. It's just how you put it together, isn't it? So, yeah. How to put sticky paper behind dies so you can glitter on top. Yes, I will do that for you, absolutely. Let me just go back and finish off these dates. So as I say, Francoise is at Hobbymaker on Monday, and she will be live at 3 and 8 p.m. and she'll be doing a craft o'clock with Adam at 12, which will be live on the Hobbymaker Facebook page, and then you'll be able to catch it up later. So Jamie, because of that, will be doing his live on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. He can't do, he can't be available for telly and do his live at the same time. So he's moved his to Tuesday night. This is something that unfortunately does happen. But we do always let you know, and it's also on the Creative Expressions page. All the times, all the dates, all the events, all the shows, everything that's coming up is put up on the Creative Expressions page, and we both do try to remember to remind you about all of them when we're doing our lives. So if you regularly come and listen, you'll know exactly what's going on. So it's well worth dropping in to find out. Okay, and then next Thursday I have got a very exciting sneaky peek for you all, which is a brand new Sue Wilson collection. So that's exciting, isn't it? 'Cause it's not that long since we had her here in person, which was amazing. And that was her lovely Christmas collection. So I've got her next new one. So that's lovely. All right, so that's everything I have to update you with. Now I'm just going to do this little technique for Barbara. And then I'll let you go. I mean, if you need to go, you can go. I'm not going to hold you here. Let's have a look at this, because I can put glitter behind this quite easily, but I do need to get myself some double-sided adhesive paper, which I didn't have ready. So can I get my hands on any? This is the trouble, you see. If you ask us things off-piste, we're not always ready to do it. Let me see if I can find any. Might be out of luck, Barbara. Sorry. Oh, hang on. No. No, I haven't got any to hand. I'm really sorry. But basically what I would do is cut a piece of double-sided adhesive to the size you need. So for instance, with this background, it's about, let me measure it, and then I'm not saying about this, that and the other. I think it's just shy of 6 inches, so it's 5 inches and 7/8, something like that. So cut your sticky sheet to match. Yes, Barbara, that's what I'm showing you now. So cut your double-sided adhesive sheet to match the size of the panel that you want to glitter. And then take one side off the double-sided adhesive and put this, if you imagine this is your panel, onto the sticky surface of the double-sided adhesive. So then it will be sticky, showing through all the gaps. I mean, ignore the fact that that's got an open centre. If you want to put something in the centre, you can use the double-sided adhesive for that as well. That would stick to it through that aperture. And then you sprinkle your glitter through here onto the double-sided adhesive. And then when you've done that, you'll still have the other side of the double-sided paper on the back of here. And you can take that off then and stick it to your next mat. So for instance, if I wanted to do that, and then I wanted to stick that onto here, I could use the double-sided adhesive that's behind this to then stick it down. So your double-sided adhesive acts as an adhesive sheet, but it acts as this carrier, if you like, for infilling all these little gaps, because once you've got it behind and the stick is exposed, you just put your glitter through, rub it through with your finger, shake off the excess, and then you've got your glittery background. Does that make sense? I'm sorry I couldn't physically show you, but I can't get to my stuff. It's not handy. So, but if I can remember, when I do my live on Thursday, I will I'll do it properly for you if you haven't understood what I've just said, and then I'll show you properly on Thursday night as well. Okay. Emma, that's a great idea. Emma's saying that if you finding you haven't much room to decorate on DL, do a trifold. Well, it's a bifold card, isn't it? It's a tri-panel, but it's a bifold. So I get a bit panicky about stuff like that. Yeah, so you'd have 3 panels you could decorate then as well. But I really like DLs, and I think they're a lovely shape and size, and they go through the post as a normal letter, don't they? Because it's like an office size envelope. So yeah. Alrighty, well, that's me done for tonight. So thank you very much for your company. I'm really pleased that you're willing to join us, and hopefully you're taking something out of all this that we're giving you, and it's inspiring you to go away and have a go, because that's why we do it. We want you to feel all fired up that you want to go and try these things that we show you. So hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've picked up some tips. So for now, it's goodbye from me, and as always, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you soon. Lots of love.